Hey everyone, my name is Monroe Mann. Welcome to another episode of The F.A.M.E Show, where F stands for financing, A stands for attitude, M is marketing, and E is entertainment law. Got my good friend Scott duPont, a successful film producer, actor, and investor out in Los Angeles. And we decided we're going to talk today about M, marketing. We didn't plan it. We're just going to improv it. We're going to see where our discussion about marketing goes. The first thing that comes to mind is that I wrote a book called Guerilla Networking with a guy named J. Conrad Levinson. And J. Conrad Levinson is the quote unquote father of guerrilla marketing. And he wrote this amazing book called Guerilla Marketing. Scott, you've heard of that book, yeah?
I wrote a contributing chapter to that book.
That is right. To the Guerilla Networking run. Yeah, that's right. Actually, I forgot about that. Scott,
no, you're talking about guerrilla marketing, yeah, but guerrilla networking. Yeah,
he's in Guerilla. Scott's in Guerilla Networking, and but Jay wrote Guerilla Marketing. The thing that I liked about Guerilla Marketing when I first read it back when I was maybe 21, 22, was just this idea, which seems very commonplace today, with the fall of those big advertising agencies, Mad Men type of thing that used to drive everything, but now there are Google ads. And there are more economical
social
ways.
Media platforms.
Exactly, YouTube right here. I mean, this essentially could be an advertising platform. But guerrilla marketing was all about don't spend. Or, I think it was Guerilla Marketing that said if you spend $1 on advertising and you don't get at least $1 back, that's expensive. But if you spend $1 and you get $2 of income back, that was very inexpensive. Why don't you take it away from there based on that idea?
So if we're talking about the guerrilla strategy, low budget, just if you're just starting out or if you don't have hundreds of dollars a month or thousands or even millions to spend, which most people I know don't, or they're just trying to be smart, the guerrilla marketing today all starts with social media. And I'm just going to share a few tips about how to build.
Before you go into that, let me just explain to everybody. Guerrilla marketing, I didn't explain it clearly. It means you're spending very little money, or you're making sure that there's always a return on any marketing dollars that you spend. Whereas years ago, companies would spend $20,000 for an ad in a subway car, but it was just for brand awareness. Guerrilla marketing is not brand awareness. It's about you get results and you're making more money as a result. Would you agree with that definition, Scott?
Yeah, and doing it yourself.
It's all, very low cost, guerrilla style, and you don't need a big agency. Continue. What were you saying?
Low cost or no cost. So the advice I would share in today's world, if Jay were still with us, rest his soul, about guerrilla marketing, 5.0, 2020, is it all starts with the different social media platforms. And, if you're driving people to your YouTube channel, that's great. If you're trying to build awareness, if you're trying to get followers, if you're trying to monetize on that, it doesn't matter what platform. This is kind of the golden rule that I've adopted that's worked pretty successful for me. Number one, never, ever, ever get into politics or religion. It's tempting. I see these.
No, let me clarify to the viewers. What he means is don't incorporate politics or religion into your marketing. It doesn't mean you can't get involved in politics or get involved with religion, but don't mix that with the marketing for your business. Would you agree that's what you're trying to say?
Correct. Because you're potentially alienating 50% of your audience. And I'll give you two specific examples here. A couple of years ago, I had a partner that he put up a lot of political tweets and posts on different platforms. And we had a big movie premiere, and I was just trying to get people to come to this movie premiere and said, one of the guys you're partnered with, I do not like his political opinions at all. I don't want to be in the same room with him. So it lessened my audience to actually see the film. And then a couple of people I approached about investing in the film said, I wouldn't put a penny into that film just because some of the people involved have completely different political views than I do.
It's sort of a different subject, but it's related, because one of them is, first is, let's say I am this political belief and I support this political candidate, but in my marketing, I'm not going to mention any of that, but people may know about it. The other thing, like you're saying, is that people will know about somebody's politics and will not associate with you with a business relationship because of those two things. I kind of feel like they're two separate but related issues. One is, should we some people do incorporate politics in their advertisements, and Nike was clearly doing that with the Colin Kaepernick thing, and that clearly divided people. The people that supported the politics of Colin Kaepernick supported Nike. The people who didn't said, I don't want to buy Nike anymore. But what about your situation is the fact that somebody knows, for example, let's just say that guy who's on Dancing with the Stars, who was a Republican, used to work for Trump. I don't remember, but he was a Republican. And because he was a Republican, there were people who immediately judged him because of his politics. So which precisely are you, or what are your thoughts on both of those ideas?
Okay, just getting back to Nike real quick. What was the number one shoe Nike has ever had in the past 30 years?
The Air Jordan, I think?
Correct.
Yeah.
And the one statement I read in a marketing book by Michael Jordan, quote unquote, I never talk politics because Republicans and Democrats both buy Air Jordans. So
that is brilliant.
Even back then, Michael Jordan, who was very involved in the marketing, clearly did not want to alienate a single customer. So what we're talking.
But the issue with that is, even today, I have no idea whether Michael Jordan is a Republican or a Democrat, and I don't think you do either.
No.
But
that's the brilliance.
But so are you saying then, in the fact that we should all go back to the way things were 30 years ago, where you never talk politics with anyone? People know that I tend to be more conservative in my politics, and I mean, should I completely hide that?
No, I'm not saying be totally politically correct and all this stuff, which I think we're going overboard. All I'm saying is you don't want to, on social media, which is tied to your brand, your music, your restaurant, your acting, whatever product you're involved with, you just want to be careful. That's all. I mean, if someone's a Republican and someone's a Democrat, I don't care. But if someone repeatedly drills down on a certain candidate, I'm not one of those people that really care, but there are a lot of people.
All right, so
I'm going to put my money elsewhere.
So the first part, then, I think we've resolved that, is the advice here, and I think I agree with you, is if you have a company or a brand, don't use that brand or company's social media and marketing to promote some political agenda. So therefore, would you then say that we all know that folks like Taylor Swift are extremely liberal? We know and she posts about that. And then there are folks like, I'm trying to think if there's a more outspoken Republican that's in show business. I know Arnold Schwarzenegger is a Republican. I mean, should they not be giving their political? I personally think they shouldn't be. It should be. I think they all think that they're so powerful and their opinions need to be known, and it's sort of like, I don't want to hear these celebrities' political takes on things. I don't know. What do you think? Does that go along with what you're saying? Keep it separate?
I think there can be a happy medium. So because I don't want to, if I'm watching an award show, and I'm starting to tune out of award shows, and most Americans are, the ratings have plummeted the past 5 years.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Awful ratings because of these rants and raves and these speeches that are all political. They're not about the awards anymore. So a good example was, I was terrified that Joaquin Phoenix, who was probably going to win the best actor, which he did. I thought he was going to have a meltdown and have a 3 or 5 minute political rant. He didn't. He had maybe a 15-second political rant. He stated his opinion, which I respected, whether I agree with it or not. Okay, I don't even want to talk about it right here. But then he went into a couple other things that he was passionate about, and they were all kind of tied into the acting spirit. It was a really good speech. So I think if it's done carefully, and you don't rant on and on, or you're not constantly tweeting or promoting one thing, just be careful about it. That's all I'm trying to say. You don't want to alienate 50% of your potential audience.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Okay, I tend to agree with that. Now, the second part was you shared a story of a project you were working on, and then an investor or someone found out about the affiliation, the political affiliation that somebody else on your cast or crew had, and said, no, I will not be a part of this because of that person's politics.
Correct.
So can you explain a little bit more about that? What's the, I can see both sides of that, because there have been some times when I feel politics do get in the way, but at the same time, I personally feel like someone's politics should not interfere with whether somebody can work. If someone's easy to work with and they have the talent and or the resources that are appropriate for a project, I kind of feel like forget the politics generally, but it doesn't seem that's always the case.
So this person was not just a Democrat or Republican, right? He was incessantly firing up social media on a regular basis, several times a week. And some of them weren't necessarily flattering. Some of them were slightly negative. And people just get tired of that. We're very divisive in the country right now, and we probably will be, unfortunately, for the next few years anyway. So it just comes down to, I don't think any person say, oh, we can't audition that person, or I can't invest in that film, or I can't work with that crew member because he's a Republican or Democrat. But if someone incessantly promotes one-sided and it's very negative, that's toxic.
But
it's not a good thing.
In the story that you said, was the person an investor who pulled out?
The investor that I called was a very, very good friend of mine. He said, I'm not investing in film. If it was just you, Scott, I'd give you the money. But I'm not going to give you the money because there's some other people involved.
And it's precisely because of that person's political leaning, or because of how vocal they were?
How vocal.
And they were vocal on social media.
So let's take some Hollywood examples. Okay, if an A-list, and I don't even want to mention names here because you know who's Republican and you know the A-listers that are liberal. Most of them are liberal, just the way it works in Hollywood. If someone says, I'm supporting this candidate, that I'm a registered Republican or whatever, or I'm a registered Democrat, they're still going to work. But if someone goes on and on and on at award shows for 2 minutes and gets on their Twitter account and gets on Instagram posting really negative, toxic thing. A great example is an actress who cut off the president's head, dripped in blood, and grabbed the head of the president. You've seen it, okay? No, I'm not going to say my political beliefs, but whether you believe one side or the other, that's not appropriate for anyone to chop off somebody's head, especially the president, have blood, and saying this person should be dead. First of all, it's against the law, I believe, to make any kind of threat against the president.
Yeah.
You're the lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah, so
just be smart. That's the bottom line thing.
You know what I think about that is that also, and I think this is good advice for anything, whether it comes to marketing, whether it comes to relationships, and don't let your short-term emotion incite you to make a short-term decision that gives you a short-term high and a short-term release, but then you wake up the next day or next week or next month and you say, why did I do that? Was that the smartest thing to do? I really want that to be what defines me. And I think that's what you're saying. I think a lot of people, in show business, in entrepreneurship, whatnot, they're melding it all together too much information. And like you said, like a Nike shoe, the Air Jordan, has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. It's a basketball shoe. It's a basketball shoe. Just do it. And so it should be applicable to anybody, regardless of their political beliefs. You can just do it. Go succeed. So I agree that marketing and politics, very risky. And you do need to be.
So let me go to the antithesis of that.
Yes.
Because we're talking about guerrilla marketing. And a lot of the marketing, we can kind of build up our audience. We can sell products through social media now, spending no money. It's just a little bit of time and some keys, or you're hitting your Instagram page, whatever platform this all applies. Because I'm on a couple of different ones. And I'm by means no expert. I don't have 500,000 followers or anything like that. Not even close.
Not yet.
But and to me, it's not necessarily about how many likes. It's about how many ticket sales I can say, or how many clicks I can get. I want to monetize. You know, we all need to earn a living. There's nothing wrong with that.
Let me hold that thought. Remember where you were. I just want to tell everybody that's a key point. There's a word called sellout. And people say, oh, you shouldn't be a sellout. You shouldn't be a sellout. But the purpose of marketing is to sell out. It's to sell all the seats in the stadium. It's to sell all the copies of your book. It's to sell all of the theater tickets. And so don't think of sellout as a bad thing. That is why you are marketing. As Scott said, it's not just to get 5,000 likes. Who cares if you have 5,000 likes if it doesn't lead to anything else? I mean, that's just vanity and egoism getting in the way. It shouldn't be, as we talked about before, I don't know if it was on this show or another. Scott and I have done so many of these now. All of our wisdom is merging together. It's merging together. I just forgot my thought. What the heck were we talking about?
Well, I can go back to what I was saying.
Yeah, it'll come back to me.
Social media platforms. So the opposite of being overbearing with political or negativity or all that stuff, I instilled this habit about 5 years ago. And it was a challenge at first. I've gotten pretty good at it, to the point where when I need to reach out on social media, I can fill a large theater. Okay, if I have a movie premiere on the East Coast, I can sell a bunch of books on one day if I'm launching a book. If a friend of mine has a band that's playing at some club across town, I'm not in the band, but say I have enough clout. That's what they call the internet score. I have enough clout where 4 or 5 people might show up and say, hey, I'm going to go down this club to hear my buddy Brad Fox. He's doing a gig down there. Because I've developed trust and inspiration and positivity and this connection, this virtual connection. And I really care. This is going to sound cheesy and not egotistical, but esoteric. I really do care about all my friends on social media. And if someone's really nasty or hitting me in the face with a poke or whatever, and it's negative, I said, I'll just delete them. So the trick I learned about 5 years ago is I go on the internet, on my social media platforms, every day for about 20 to 30 minutes. So there's a little bit of time, there's a little bit of commitment to do this. And I just go down my feed, whatever platform it is, and I look for people that have done something. It's like, oh, I just graduated this acting class and I got, the second place acting award. It's like, hey, congratulations, that's awesome, thumbs up. And then I'll see someone else made the decision, I'm finally going to write a book. After, oh, that's awesome, give me a call if you want any pointers. I'm not like Mr. Know-It-All author, but I've done a book before. I might have some tips for you to save you some time. Or like I said, someone's band is playing across town. I'll say, hey, that's great, I'm going to show up to support you, and I'll see if I can bring a few friends. Now, when you're going through this feed, you're going to see somebody that's like, oh, my aunt just died, or she's in the hospital, or they get into a political rant, or they go on and on and on about this hurricane that just came across the state of Florida, or they'll talk about this virus killing 20,000 people. I stay away from those completely. It's so easy just to chime in your 2 cents worth. I don't do it all. If I want to send a condolence to a good friend of mine, I'll do that privately. And you do that for 5 years, and you develop this reputation, whether it's true or not. It's like, wow, that guy's really supportive. He's a super positive guy.
Yeah, it's actually wise, as our members at Breakdiving on breakdiving.io know, and if you don't know, it's a social media site that we created, a not-for-profit, where you cannot join. You have to apply to join, and you have to agree you will not be angry. You can discuss politics, but you will never criticize somebody. You will never tell them they're stupid. You will never get personal with people. You will never get into these rants or anger or vitriol. You won't criticize people's dreams. I hate on social media where you would post something and somebody would say, "You suck," or it's like, you know what? Even if you do suck, how does that help in any way, shape, or form? Don't watch it. Don't watch it. Unsubscribe. Whatever. And so, if any of you watching, if you do want an alternative to social media that's a little bit more friendly and happy, check out breakdiving.io. We would love to have you there. To conclude, we have a really great chat here on the F.A.M.E show with Scott duPont about marketing. Actually, Scott, I liked how it went. It flowed into a lot of different areas. We touched on a lot of excellent tips. Let's just do what we usually do. Let's just go back and forth and give some very quick, maybe 30-second marketing tips for people watching. So my number one marketing tip is you need a marketing angle. The marketing angle is why you are different. If you don't know why you are different from everyone else and every other company trying to do what you're doing, you're never going to stand out. So really think, why am I different in a good way? Scott.
Good point. And just to kind of come out of that, kind of along those lines, is your one good point, your one thing you're trying to market, make sure it truly is one thing. You don't want to have on your link or in your message or when you're talking, even if you're talking on social media or if you're putting out an electronic flyer, you don't want to have too many choices. Okay? So it's financeyourmovie.com. Click here to buy the book that will help you raise your money and tell your story. Very, very focused. And that one thing, lean into it. I know a lot of people, especially when they're first starting out in marketing, which translates into sales, they're like, they give a presentation or they tell somebody about the book. It's like, they feel like, oh, I don't want to push my book on someone. I don't want to be like hypey and all salesy. If you really, really believe your book, and I'm just using that as an example, will inspire somebody, that can give them the tools to improve their life, to help them do whatever the book is all about, you need to market and sell your book with no apologies. Because I know my book or my movie can help that person.
Beautiful. Okay, another marketing tip is along the lines of what Scott said is don't give people too many choices. That's also a sales tip. It's generally a sales tip. Tell them what you want them to do and encourage them to do it. But on the flip side of that, none of us know what project of ours is going to succeed. There are a lot of people who have differing views on my philosophy on this, but I think you should be pursuing multiple projects all at the same time because one of them may take off sooner than the other. And if you spend all your time and all your money on the one project that never has a future, you screwed up. People always say that the most successful people in life are those that focused. That's because the successful people focused on the one thing that succeeded. But if you look back at their past, they probably had a lot of other failures along the way until they found the one thing that they focused on that worked. So my advice is until you know for sure that what you're doing is going to work, try to put your toe into a lot of different things. And then when you see, oh, this one's taken off, then maybe you can focus. Scott, another one.
Yeah, but really just, I don't know if it's another one, but I'm going to reinforce exactly what you just said. A director I just worked with, a really brilliant director, Rick Pamplin, said, that we don't necessarily choose the projects we do. Our investors determine the projects we do. So sometimes, if you have a couple different projects out there, sometimes it's meeting the right money person to back your project, whatever it is. Sometimes it's just about timing. So if you have this project and you're talking about guys in hazmat suits changing the world because they contained this virus within 24 hours and they launched off to the moon, if you have that script ready, or if you have a song or a music video ready to go about that, and CV19 hits the same exact time, that's just good timing. And you're in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. I think it'll be a good place to stop. I liked what you said, the fact that you don't choose your projects, your investors do. And that's precisely, as you said, it's an echo. It's better to have a nice palette of multiple projects for investors to choose from than to just have, this is the one, and then everybody keeps saying no, and you keep knocking on doors and they keep saying no. Clearly you're doing something wrong, and if you just keep focusing on that same project in its current state, you're not going to get anywhere. So, a story about that, how I ended up raising the money for You Can't Kill Stephen King, which is a feature film that as you know, we sold it to Amazon Prime, and we sold it all across the world in about 15 countries. That was the second feature film that I tried to do. The first one, the investor pulled out because he didn't trust me. And the reason he didn't trust me is because I didn't have any filmmaking experience. So I went to film school, made a whole bunch of short films, and I raised lots of small amounts of money for the short films. And suddenly I wrote this next feature film with Bob Madia and Ronnie Khalil. And I got the money based on the short films that I did. And it's, again, the fact that, you know what, the project that you may want to do initially, that may not be the one that you're actually gonna produce first. It's still on the back burner.
Trust, like your book talks about.
Exactly, but I love the idea that your investors choose your projects, which echoes the fact that you should always have. And we're talking about marketing. Don't just choose one marketing venue. You don't know if the Google ads are going to work. You should also do the flyers. You should also use social media. You should also create a YouTube channel. You should also keep reading books. As Scott says, constantly read books to try to find something new, something different. Scott and I know that anyone who was around in the year 2000 with marketing, it has changed 150% in these last 20 years. It's nothing.
Keep changing.
And it keeps changing. And I think now it's even changing more quickly because of the new technologies that are constantly getting created. Now TikTok is around. I haven't started yet, but apparently that's becoming like a new version of YouTube. And
Quibi just launched 2 days ago.
Which is fantastic. Yes, it's brilliant. And the two shows.
10-minute TV shows.
10-minute TV shows.
Actually, you told me about Quibi. I'm hooked on Thanks a Million.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Oh, the one thing, we're going off a little marketing, but I guess it was a marketing decision. The one thing I don't like about that show, and I love the show, is I hate that after the third time, they say, and the chain ends with you. I kind of feel like you're saying, here's your $25,000. You are encouraged to continue the chain as best you can. Because shouldn't that person that got the $25,000... Did you
see the fourth episode? I don't want to say this spoiler.
Yeah, no, I did see that one. Yeah, and she's going to... She said she was the only person who did the right thing. Saying, you know what, thank you. Everyone else was like, cool, I get 25 grand. Awesome, bye. It's all mine. It's all mine. But I kind of feel like I wish we would just continue and saying, even though we don't see it on camera, the idea that, hey, if you get a windfall, a good fortune, you should pay that forward constantly. But anyway, it's a minor point. I do agree. It's really fun to watch it, and download Quibi if you haven't. I wish Scott and I made millions of dollars in sponsorships by mentioning Quibi, but alas, we just like it and think it's fun. Any last words, Scott?
No, just yeah, I do have one thing, and this relates to marketing. Is you want to, in your marketing messages, however you do it, there's so many different platforms, guerrilla marketing, you want to make sure you come across to your audience or your end customer as me too. Like, kind of get your end audience, your customers, to connect with you versus so what. So let me give you a great example.
Mm-hmm.
If I had come on the show today and Monroe had introduced me as, oh, this is Scott duPont from Hollywood, California, who's raised millions and millions of dollars, and he's produced all these films on the wall behind him. He's worked with Academy Award winners, and his films have been distributed by major distributors like Lionsgate and yada, 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 yada. And I'm here sitting, oh, thanks, thumping my chest. You're not as likely to connect with that person rather than me. I did a show with Monroe where I said, look, you know, I made a lot of mistakes when I was first getting into acting and mostly film producing. I didn't get investors easily. I had a lot of screw-ups, went through a lot of pain and anguish, but I learned a lot over the last 20 years, and I want to help you avoid the mistakes that I made, and I have a pretty good track record, and I've also listened to people a lot smarter and more brilliant than me that have produced
Oh, stop it.
So that's me too, if that all makes sense.
That was my attempt at a joke, and I don't think I know. I thought like you were talking about me being the smarter, more intelligent person. Anyway, yeah, yeah, that's a great tip. We have to be relatable in our marketing, otherwise it goes over their heads. And on that note, in being relatable, my name is Monroe. This is your good buddy Scott. And we're glad to have you here. And did I already tell people to subscribe? I don't know if I finished the show already. Anyway, if you like this, please subscribe. Please click like. Please share some comments, and please come to breakdiving.io to join our community. Please visit Scott's website. Was it Find Your Money? No.
FinanceYourMovie.com.
FinanceYourMovie.com. Scott, thank you so much again for your time. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Until next time, this is The F.A.M.E. Show.